like train people well enough so they can leave, but treat them good enough that they'll stay.
Like when I was going through school, I didn't realise the sort of money that was in the trades. Like going on to run your own business, I think letting kids know that at an earlier age, they might actually go like, oh wait now, like that's an option.
Parents will be saying, oh, you're not getting an apprenticeship, and they're pushing the uni, and just don't know how right that is.
I always say to people, when you're young, 90% of the time you can afford to fail.
Yeah. It's like, how much do you want it? Do you know, if I remember back that when I was 16 and I got that apprenticeship, like there was nothing going to stop me getting to college that next year. Like I was just like a man possessed.
So I didn't realise, obviously, you can put certain amount of money away and actually it's reducing your tax bill. Yeah, it's a lot of people when they take on apprentices, they're scared of offloading that information because... So back for another podcast, and I have two fantastic guests. I am a bit jet lagged, so I'm going to apologise to everybody that's listening or watching because I probably stumble on many words tonight. But we've got Robbie and we've also got Jamie, and it's Taylor Trade Talk, am I correct?
So we've got Taylor Talks Trades as a podcast.
Taylor Talks Trades, I never get it on.
Taylor Roofs is the roofing business.
And the roofing business. So I'm going to look to obviously ask you a few questions about sort of stuff that you've done in the past, sort of stuff that you're doing now, and also like anything that you want to be doing in the future. Obviously, you are the apprentice, are you, Robert?
Yeah.
So, and we've got the master as well here. So yeah, basically, I want to just take you back, and we sort of try and get people to give us a bit of backstory as to like how you got involved with the trades. A lot of people tell us that it's, you know, family businesses, or had an uncle that did this, or my granddad was a plumber and my dad was a plumber, or whatever it is. But whatever the story, we like to sort of get to know you a little bit because it helps to sort of show people how you've got to where you are now. So who should we start with, Jack? Should we go with the...
Do you want to go with the master?
Let's go with the master first.
We'll
go with you, Jamie. So just give us a sort of brief background story to yourself and how you came into doing the roofing. Probably, I presume that came first.
Yeah, the roofing came first. It definitely wasn't the podcast, that's for sure. But I think all the guests I have on my podcast, they always usually just say I fell into the trades. So I'm like kind of desperately trying to not say that.
But you did.
But I did, yeah. We all fell into the trades. But it was one of them. My dad was in construction. He did concrete floors, like he would pour them, put the mesh in, the shutter in and all that stuff. And back then I would like summer holidays or weekends and stuff, we used to like go and sneak on sites with him, and me and my brother, and we would just watch him like doing concrete floors basically, and he would stay there like overnight, like polishing the floors and stuff. So it was we just seen like the graft really and the hard work. And then when I was younger, it was like had the milk run, worked at the weekends with like a local gardener, so I got used to like customer care, getting hands-on with the gardening work, you know, doing the milk run, paper runs, like all that, the cliche stuff really. But I was quite hands-on, wasn't very academic at school, which we've all heard a million times, but I sort of always knew I was going to be hands-on. But when I was speaking to my dad, I think I just assumed that I would leave school and just go and work with him, and that would be it. I didn't really have any other plan. But
did your dad think that way? Is that what he...
Well, I think he was like...
It goes one or two ways. Either the dads are like, "Yeah, come on, son," or they're like, "There's no way."
I think he would have wanted me to work with him. It was more when the time sort of came around, he was like, "Get yourself a trade, like with actual like a qualification behind you," because the groundwork stuff that he did, it wasn't something you went to college for and you got a paper or like a qualification or anything like that. It was very much you learnt it on the job, and that was that. So he said get a real trade, and I got roofing. So
did you go to college, I presume, to do it? Because the one thing I find on here when I talk to a lot of people is, depending on where you are in the country, is to whether or not you went to college or you went and just became an apprentice and tried to learn on the job. Because it seems that certain places, they don't even have colleges for certain trades, or you know, it's only for electrical or plumbing. You know, so trying to find somewhere to actually do what you do.
Basically what I did was I got a list of all the local employers that did construction, and contacted every single one of them. There was like hundreds on the list, and only 2 came back. One was a bricklayer, and he was like, "Oh, I'll start you." I think it was like 250 quid a week or something, he said, and he was like, "It's not a qualification or anything, you just learn it off of me and you'll just do it." And the other one was a roofing apprenticeship, And he'd said, you've missed the college cut-off date, because I've been looking for a while.
Right.
He said, you've missed the college cut-off date for this year, but if you come in, you prove yourself, and you do a year with us, and you prove that you can go through the winter and all of that, he said, I'll send you to college. And that was the chance I needed, because so I took that one rather than the sort of better money to start with. I took the lesser apprenticeship money, knowing that I would get the qualification at the end. So I just dived into that, and just basically, I knew I had a year to prove myself. So I think from there was no messing about. It wasn't, oh, this is just my first job. Oh well, it was very much, I want to be. I was already a bit gutted that I was going to be 1 year behind.
I think people that do and go that route tend to stick at it and are more determined to do it than people that, people that go to college and they're like, oh yeah, I've just got a part-time job somewhere, and it doesn't really mean anything. But I think when you leave school and you're going and you're doing a trade, it's literally, if you don't do that, what are you going to be doing? So I find that people are a bit more focused on stuff. So you've gone to the job, you've done your year. Obviously, college comes around. How long was your course?
4-year apprenticeship. So it's basically 2 years is college time, and then the third year there's meant to be an advanced craft that you do. We never got to do it at our company because all the apprentices beforehand hadn't done it. So I was like really trying to ask for it and said I would pay for it myself and stuff. But they were like, look, there's still people working there that were like, should have been on the advanced the year before. So they were in their 4th year now, so that wasn't an option. And then you do the final skills test at the end. So basically you do, it's roof slating, tiling, and rendering, like rough casting. So that's what you do in the skills test at the end, show that you can do all of that, and they sign you off. And
I mean, is there anywhere now, because I presume obviously once you've been, you don't ever look, but I mean, if you were to take on an apprentice, is there anywhere now that's actually offering the stuff that you missed out on that you couldn't do?
I think they're doing away with it, and that's something we're trying to do. Is we want to create like a roofing academy, and that's what we want to do, is put a lot of focus back into the parts they're taking away. So we've been working with people in the industry, like my old college lecturer, a guy called Bob Coots. He's been in the industry for like forever, pretty much.
Because you see a lot of like open university, don't you? Yeah. And you see people are able to study anywhere now, and it's sort of, I feel like for trades there isn't anything really like that where you can learn. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got to be hands-on and going out and seeing stuff, but obviously if you're learning that sort of educational side and then you can go and put that into practice, surely that's got to be a good idea. But everybody I talk to on the show, it's so different wherever they are as to like the level of education that you can actually receive.
They're pulling more and more away from it, to be honest. It's going back the way. So we're driving to try and change that. We were down in, obviously being down here in your area in Birmingham, we were over at NAC Birmingham this morning doing a Taylor Talks Trades live, and it was basically all around the skills shortage and training. And what we were doing there was we had a guy, John Lewis, who's from the LSTA, that's the Lead Sheet Training Academy. So he's done a lot of good work in the training space there, so we're getting his take on it. Robbie's take being one of our apprentices, and actually won Apprentice of the Year this year. You know, he's one of our success stories, and you know that's the reason I've brought him with me as well, so that you know we can celebrate that and get that message out there to say.
So what do you think needs to change then? Because obviously you've been there, and then now you've got your own apprentice, and then you're discussing it with other people. What do you think needs to change for?
It's a bit of it is a bit of a cop out for me to say this, and I do keep saying that, but like it's funding. Like if we could, a conversation that we had today when we were on the panel, we said if there was funding for, like, our company, we're like 35 plus at any given time, sort of it'll fluctuate a bit just depending on, like, roofers will come and go and things, but the general sort of size sits around 35 plus. So at any, you know, if we could have someone that came in there that would be like an apprenticeships officer as such, because so my brother, he I took him when I started up on my own. I took him on as my apprentice straight away when he was just 16, and like I taught him, so I could show him like the work ethic and the skills and sort of really push it on. And whereas like for Robbie, for example, like I've got to put him in the hand of like our other guys, and we have got lots of good skilled tradesmen that work with us, but it's not the same sort of drive as what I had. So my issue is that the more our company grows, which is great, and then I'm building sort of the personal brand, or trying to anyway. Do you know, you're doing the podcast and you're doing some media stuff, you're putting yourself out there in socials. The further I get away from guys like Robbie, whereas like I can't be in the day to day. I don't go on roofs anymore, stuff like that. So we're trying to find a solution to that, and I keep saying it's funding. I don't know. It's just I know that we're in the position where we train as much as we can, but it's nowhere near enough as what's needed.
Yeah. Because I honestly do think that like a trades sort of university school type thing where it is sort of, you know, you've got that resource online to go and refer to at any time, and then you know you could have somebody where you're doing live lessons.
Yeah.
And you can sort of be watching it, and then somebody could be watching it but working on their own job and putting exactly what they're learning into practice at the same time.
It would be good, that, to be honest. I think we were talking about it in the plane down today, but like for me, and Robbie seems to be very similar to me, like we just love learning. Once you so like when I was leaving school, it was almost a case of school's not really for you, or you're not really for school, and you just think that you can't learn. And then as soon as I got like into the apprenticeship and I went back to college, and I was like, I really enjoy this. And then at the end, and I think this is a big one for I'd imagine there'll be apprentices and young people looking to get into the industry who listen to this podcast. Getting that bit of paper does do something for you, saying like, I'm now a qualified roofer, I've got something behind me. It means something. It does something for your confidence, and I think that's how I probably went on to actually start my own business. And I wouldn't have done that given the guidance I was getting from school, which was very much
academic.
You're not really, well, it was very much like you're not really going to amount to anything. That was the kind of vibe.
But we have this. How many times do we have this where I sort of sit there and I think, if schools, they could see that you're not, because they know that you're not academic round about 13, 14. They see that, and then they're on at you. You've got to decide what GCSEs you want to do, all that sort of stuff. Rather than that, I feel like, because most schools you still have design technology or something similar. Yeah. If you split the school into, okay, well, you want to do something vocational, so we'll have people that come in teach you bricklaying, roofing, whatever it is, and then half the school goes down that route, and then the other half goes down the academic route, because not everyone's going to be a doctor or a surgeon or I don't know, a barrister or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's something we were kind of talking about on that panel earlier as well, wasn't it? It was like,
and I feel like that is where that switch needs to happen, and then it's like, okay, we've definitely got that set amount of people that have gone into that, which now means that we can fund more colleges because we know we've got the demographic and the pupils coming through, and you're sort of taking somebody from, because I was the same. Like the only thing they offered me on careers fair was to go into the army.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I've got ADHD. I'm probably not the best person to run around with a gun, am I? Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I literally looked at it. I thought, I have no idea what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's the only option that you've sort of given me.
Yeah.
Like, if the trade had been offered, I'd probably be an electrician or a plumber or something.
And you'd had that couple of years head start as well to start thinking about moving into the trades.
And like you say, when you're doing something with your hands, you can sort of see, I've created that.
It's tangible, isn't it?
Whereas when you
write, you can look back at it.
Writing stuff down. Well, I feel like if you're academic, you're just good at memorising something and regurgitating it.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's trying to sort of, see how you'd.
Something we were saying as well, the conversation we were having was around like parents as well. Like a lot of the parents will be saying, "Oh, you're not getting an apprenticeship," and they're pushing the uni, and just don't know how right that is, because it's probably okay. It's probably okay if the young person is suited to uni.
Yeah.
But if they're not, then.
But I mean, even I think we've gone to a point now where the tipping point's gone a bit crazy, because you've got so many degrees now. I think wasn't there one with like in America, Taylor Swift or some shit like that? Like, I mean,
What, a Taylor Swift degree?
Yeah, something to do with Taylor Swift, wasn't it?
Doesn't surprise me.
In America. And I just think, people go on about, Mickey Mouse degree or whatever it is. Like, put people into something where these can make them some money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not everybody is academic. Not many people can sit there and just regurgitate stuff that they're told. But I feel like it's just not pushed enough in school.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's a bit like faux pas to say, trade. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now, because there is a shortage, the amount of money that you can possibly make from a trade and having a skill, 10, 20 years from now is going to be...
I don't think a lot of young people realise that.
I don't.
Like, when I was going through school, I didn't realise the sort of money that was in the trades. It was only once I I actually started working in the trades and like listening to Jamie, like the way he talks at team meetings and stuff like that. I'm like, there's actually like a really good career you can get out of this. I thought it was like you can just bang tiles on a roof for a living. I didn't realise like there's progressions much further than that. Yeah. Like going on to run your own business, and I think letting kids know that at an earlier age, they might actually go like, oh wait now, like that's an option.
Well, some go to uni and then all they've got is a big debt pile when they come out.
Yeah, and can't get a job doing the thing that they wanted to do. They just spent all the time on. Yeah. It's so like
it's mental.
Most people I know that went to uni, that is what's happened. I don't know many that sort of went and actually got through it. I think I've got one mate who's a dentist and he went, but do you know,
I can understand that because it's sort of, you know, it's something specific. It's a niche.
Yeah.
But going
and he had a job lined up and the family as well at that point. So do you know, he knew when he did his degree
he was
what it would
get
be
a job.
for. It's not just taking the chance. Because you think of how many people actually went to uni, it's like there's probably, we're talking about a skills shortage on our side, it's probably like an over. You know, there's just probably too many people with degrees over on the other side. It's
Well, I listened to a thing the other day because I think the new government's trying to push 70% of kids into university. And I'm thinking,
still, like
I'm like, why don't you push like 25 or 30% into doing trades? But when we had, was it Roger Bisbee? We had Roger on, and he was saying that another issue though is that, and this isn't knocking anybody young, is that when you've got and you're trying to sell a trade and you're like, well, it's the middle of winter, it's freezing cold, you know, you're covered in shit, you know, most people are like, oh no, I'll sit at the desk for £15 for like half a day. Or
what did you say on that today, Robbie? When I asked Robbie today, we were walking between the venue and going to get something to eat, and I said, how do you get through the winter? Because I'm not on the tools now, I'm in the cosy office all the time. What did you say on that today when I asked you?
I think I said I put an extra jumper on. I think that was my first answer.
I think it was a bit more inspiring than that. No, you said it was to do with mindset. Then you told me you were having cold showers and all sorts, and I was like, wow. Like,
that's the Scottish mindset. Just put a jumper on. Everyone in the south of England, another jumper.
Yeah. But that's what he was saying. He was like, well, he has like cold showers in the mornings and stuff, and he's heard some of the other guys saying, oh, it's freezing today, and he's like, oh, it's not too bad. And it's just like, it's like, how much do you want?
He's there in his t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how much do you want it? Do you know, if I remember back that when I was 16 and I got that apprenticeship, like there was nothing going to stop me getting to college that next year. Like I was just like a man possessed. Yeah. And that's just what I had to do. And I see that in Robbie as well, and I see that in other apprentices that we've got. But
there are some that...
It is the minority though.
Yeah.
It is the minority. And something you said as well was that like you didn't know what apprenticeship really was. So having conversations with me, like I've been saying things like people who want to be content creators have podcasts. Like I couldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have a trade behind me.
Yeah.
And I know I might have done something else and used that, but do you know, it's like, it's more, you've got something to speak about, you've got a trade behind you, you've got a bit of credibility, it builds a bit of confidence, and that's why I just keep pushing myself out there, because I want, you know, young people like Robbie and any other young people coming into the trades to know that they can get an apprenticeship, and really, to be honest, the sky is the limit, depending on how much they want to apply themselves and how much resilience they've probably got. It's no easy by any means, but in my 18 years in the industry, to go from, you know, like basically a 1 year doing being a labourer for a year to prove myself, that 1 year from labourer.
So how many years have you been doing what you're doing?
So 18 all in total, 18. But 12 years sort of self-employed.
Yeah. And because this is another thing as well, is I find, I don't know whether social media gives people a rose-tinted view of things, where they think, oh, you know, I'll do that, and then 2 years from now I'm going to have loads of money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it is important to, that's why I'm saying, like, you have got to have hard work, you have got to have resilience. I was saying to Robbie when we were having a conversation earlier, I was like, I maybe shouldn't have started when I did, but looking where I am now, and it all worked out, it was fine. But I just literally like left my job, put my notice in, and I was self-employed like the next week.
Yeah.
Like no funds saved up, like nothing, just very much like I've got a couple of jobs there off of Facebook, like I'm away.
But I find stuff like that, the risk take is more when, like, if you now you're looking at it as a bit older, you're like, it's fucking dumb as fuck to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did I think? I'll just pack my steady income in and just I'll just start my own business. Yeah. But you look at it and you think it's mad. But I think if you were to do it when you're older, you wouldn't take that risk. So actually, like I always say to people, when you're young, 90% of the time you could afford to fail.
Yeah.
I always think that. Yeah. But as you get older, you've got kids, got a mortgage, life's really serious. You know, I don't think, looking back on it, you'd go,
I probably took the leap just at that right time, like what you said. But so I got into like a serious relationship with my now wife, and she had 2 children from a previous relationship. So I was like 18 and they were 5 and 3. When I was doing my apprenticeship, like I took them on as like my stepchildren.
Probably made you grow up a bit.
So I grew up quite quick, and then, but also I was like looking at like the money that I was getting was apprentice wages, and then when I got qualified, it was like I went and had to ask for I went and had to ask for more money, and because it just wasn't sustaining what I had. Whereas when I look at some apprentices at 18, 19, that's like probably still live with their parents. Do you know, sometimes their parents are maybe paying for their car or whatever. They've literally not even, they might have a phone bill and that's it. Whereas I was kind of forced into it a bit as well. And I think if
that probably did you another favour as well in that set. Like at the time you were probably thinking it's pressure. But it's probably done you a favour to sort of motivate you to go, well, actually, I can't survive on that. I need to do something extra or make some more money.
It was almost to the point where I was like, I may as well just go for it because this isn't sustainable at the other side. So, and I was, you know, I was like, I've been going out in like the roofing van, and at the weekends I was like cutting grass and stuff like that because I'd like worked with a gardener guy back in the day, and you know, I was just like turning up with a roofing van, and I'm like cutting, like pulling the lawnmower out the back of it. It's like it's sign written with like, you know, roofing and building, and I'm like round the back cutting the grass.
That to me shows like a lot of sort of like dedication, initiative.
It was a sheer need as well. It was a sheer need because.
But some people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't think outside the box, or they'd just think, oh well, I'm a roofer, I can't do gardening.
They'd wait for somebody else to fix the problem, and I think that's probably where the entrepreneurial side probably came out, because I was like always trying to solve the problem, I guess.
I think a lot of people, when they're listening to sort of stuff like this, they either get put off that they think it's going to take 10 years, but what people don't realise is over that 10 years, your customer or yourself, you figure out how to suddenly create a business and you see it grow, and then that's where the addiction comes in, because you think, wow, look at what I'm creating, and 10 years down the line you go, shit, all that stuff that I went through and thinking, oh, I can't pay that, or oh, I've got to sort this out, or that went wrong, all just goes away, because all of a sudden you look and you think, I've made this. So I always try and say to people, look, Rome wasn't built in a day.
It is worth it. It is worth it. Like, I know I was saying there, like, don't just go for it. I'm not trying to put people off by any means. It is worth it, but understand that it's probably will take 10 years. It probably will take...
Minimum.
Like, minimum. That's probably quite fast, being honest. And it was only really because I met a guy, I've said this on numerous other podcasts, but I met a business coach type guy, and I was at a networking meeting, and there with all my roofer scruffy clothes on, I was still on the tools and stuff, and he just said to me, you don't have a business, you own a job. And it was like a kick right up the balls. I was like looking at him.
It's true. If you can't take yourself out of the business,
but then I was like, he's not being a dick though. Like he's showing me what I should do, and then he gave me like the E-Myth book by Michael Gerber, and he said, read that, and that'll explain to you like how a business should run. And then like that was probably the first book I'd read since school. Read that book, and it was just like just became a reader. What's the next book? Next book I read was Built to Sell. So I was reading these things that was saying you only have a business if you've got a profitable, like a commercially profitable enterprise that runs without you in it.
You have to take yourself.
And then I'm like, I need to get off the tools. I was like, I can't be. I'm reading this book, and I'm like,
do you know how many people, tradesmen, I say to them, you cannot be on the tools, and they say, well, why not? And I'm like, because you can only earn a certain amount. On the tools.
It's time for money, isn't it?
You have limited hours in the day. The reason, obviously, of you know, the business that we do is, especially with direct to consumer and online, your storefront is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, around the whole world. You can sell to anybody in any corner of the globe. And if you've got products there's no limit on how, look, you know, like you look at Gymshark and these types of brands, how many products you can sell on a Black Friday. There's no limit to it.
Yes.
Whereas if you're on the tools, you've got probably max 12 hours of actual semi-productive work in you in a day, maybe even less, because you get to the afternoon, you've had your lunch and you're knackered.
Yeah.
So you've only got, and it's only you. So unless you take yourself out of that business and you've got other people doing the job, yes, you've got to pay them well, look after them, and it's a headache, but you're never going to grow.
Yeah. You're going to be stuck there forever, spinning in circles, and you'll literally end up probably not being able to work, especially if you're a roofer. Your knees will be gone, your back will be gone. It's just, there's no end to it.
Ladies and gents, just a quick one to say a huge thank you to our new headline sponsor, CT1, the best sealant on the market, voted for by the British public. Not only that, it's made in Britain as well. So go and support a product and a brand that is made in the UK. But I just want to say to you, they've got a brand new product out, which is the BT1. It's a combination sealant and adhesive like the popular CT1, but it's perfect for keeping a hygienic environment. And it's designed to completely stop the growth of bacteria, microbes, and fungus. And not only that, this stuff is strong. Now, it's going to be available at Travis Perkins, Wickes, Jewson's, and pretty much everywhere else, so there's no excuse not to go and give it a go. So we're really happy to be partnering with CT1.
The other thing I've noticed with, like, we've looked at a few businesses to acquire over the years, and normally, like, what the
is this doing similar stuff to you?
Just other roofing companies and things like that, just in different areas, and just seeing if it's worth the fast track, or if we go and do it ourselves in that area. And when you look at it, one thing, do you know how you mentioned ego? The ego just comes out, and trades guys, they don't realise that when you take them out of the business, there's no business there anymore. So it's not valuable unless they're staying in.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if you're buying a business off of someone and they're staying in, you're probably going to start falling out. Like, to me, we've probably not grew as much or got the company to where we maybe would have wanted it when it was like just me, and I brought my wife into the business as well. But so like the two of us have literally been trying to put a management team in for that past 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Like when I read that E-Myth book, like that's how long it's taken. Yeah. And we've tried this manager, that manager, and not just like we've had general managers, contract supervisors. Like those things are difficult. But I just think, well, if it takes you 10 years to do that, 10 years to do that, 20 years to do that, until you do that, you've not got a business because it's just you.
It took 15 years to get that right here for me. 15 years to get to a team where I could go away, come back 2 weeks later and not talk to anybody in here.
Yeah.
And the business was still going.
Yeah.
15 years.
And some people wouldn't be able to take like a couple of hours off from their business or what they think is a business, but it's not. It's just them. They do own the job, and I hate saying that because if anybody's listening to that, you know, and they like, because that hurt me so much when that guy said you just own a job. But it's
changed
for me. It's start with end in mind, and all of that stuff that I say, it just comes from books.
So what would you say is your biggest takeaway from having somebody there to sort of enlighten you, coach you on things? Is it good to have somebody that you can lean on to ask for advice, or what would you do in this scenario? What have you gained from?
It's probably like working with mentors and things like that. And I do a bit of consultancy myself now. It's quite limited. I only work with like a handful of people because I'm still running the other businesses and trying to get the podcast off the ground and stuff. But what I've noticed is, like, you sort of want to. They say that it takes like 10,000 hours to master a skill at something. Yeah. So like by going and getting a mentor, you're effectively paying them for the 10,000 hours. Yeah. The stuff that they know that's like 5 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you. Because there was a time where I didn't know how to properly look at that like profit and loss sheet. And you can go and speak to an accountant, but if you speak to an actual business owner who now understands it, they'll explain it to you. Like, so
they'll explain it to you how you need it.
So if I came to you and I said, look, I can't like read my numbers, I don't know my numbers, like, can you help me? Like, you'd be able to go, well, that ties up with that, and the boys get paid that, and blah blah blah, and I'd be like,
the other thing,
it makes sense.
The other thing the accountants never tell you is if there is any sort of anything you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
Not obviously like, you know, tax avoidance or whatever it is, but stuff where, you know, over the years, if you'd have done it, you'd you know, you would have saved a lot of money and somebody hasn't told
This is
you
you
what.
going back under that mattress for the cash again.
No, but it's, I look back on certain things like, obviously.
Yeah, they're not going to go out their way to actually say, oh, look, you could do this.
So
you could do that. It's,
the one major thing for me was pension.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise, obviously, you can put certain amount of money away and actually it's reducing your tax bill.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And, you know, certain things where if somebody had just said, oh, just do this. And I look back and I think, I've missed that because, you know, pensions, you can only get back 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, why didn't somebody tell me to max that out? Or why didn't somebody tell me to do this? Do you know what I mean? But you're figuring stuff, and especially when you're running a business, you're trying to keep the thing on life support machine. You're like, come on, you know, keep it going. Yeah. But that's why I think, you know, you mentioning getting a mentor, just to have somebody there while you're, you know, lost in the crazy wild shit of running a business. I think to just go, you tried this or done this or you've done that.
Like, first of all, you're buying that 10,000 hours of the things that they've learned or the multiple things they've learned. You're probably, they'll hold you accountable as well. And if you look at somebody else who's maybe went on, sold their business, or they've built a successful trades business the way that you would want to do it, then you look at them and success leaves clues. And you go, well, tell me how you've done it then. They'll won't paid for it most of the time. Some people will give certain bits away for free, but if you really want into the nitty gritty of it, you're going to need to pay someone to tell you, and it fast tracks it. And I don't think anybody can.
Because a lot of people don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, but they'll go and pay to go and get smashed on a weekend.
Yeah.
You think, well, actually, if you just took that £100 that you spent on the weekend and said to somebody, right, okay, how much is going to cost me? Well, it costs you £1,000 for the year to have some business coaching off me.
Yep.
I know which one's going to get you further in the future.
It's like the biggest investment you can make is like in yourself, and that's the kind of things that like I'll try and like drum into Robbie and anyone else in our business. Like that can't be taken away from you. All those books that I've read, and started with that one when the guy handed me it, like I've read them now. They're up in my head now, so you know I can go back and reread them a wee bit or whatever I need to do. But it's like you can't really take that back from you. People could argue the case that when they go on a big night out and it was great that you can't. You'll never make memories like that again. There's that element, but I wouldn't say that's investing in yourself. I think and investing in like the best investment you can make for me would be invest in yourself.
Yeah, but this is where I feel like if somebody had that finance and the business side running alongside the vocational stuff that you're learning, you'd come straight out and be like, right, okay, day one, any profit that I'm making, I'm going to bang a wedge into my pension, and then I realise I can go and buy an office somewhere that, you know, if I have a team of 30, 35 people, I can base them all out of, and then the money that I'm taking from there goes back into the, you know.
And this is the thing, if there was something to learn, so like if I take Robbie again as the example, like I've said to him, like his goal should be to be like the next me, but better, because he's got 10 years on me.
He's like, I will be.
but you know, so we're having this chat now, so like that, those seeds will be planting. So if he does start up in business, he'll be going, right,
I think the thing is as well,
about doing things properly.
Yeah, is a lot of people when they take on apprentices, they're scared of offloading that information because they know at some point they're probably going to go. Yeah. But like the one thing, the more successful he has come, the more willing I am to be like, well, okay, if somebody asks me for some help on stuff or a bit of advice, like I'll just, because I want somebody to go, especially here. I always say to the guys here, I say, look, I am trying to help you get better. So even if you came to me and said, look, I've got another job, I'm going somewhere else, I could be like, I'm happy for you, you know, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I feel going into something better.
I've watched you get, and you deserve it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's none, oh, fuck, I've left me right in the shit. You know, it's more, you know, don't get me wrong, I'd be gutted.
It stings in the moment, doesn't it?
But actually, I'm like, do you know what? Fair play to them, because they've served well, they've done well, the work's great. I can't knock somebody for wanting to better themselves. Do you know what I mean?
And I think it was Richard Branson.
Don't get leaving, Jack.
Jack, you're going nowhere. I think it was Richard Branson that said it, but he said like train people well enough so they can leave, but treat them good enough that they'll stay. Yeah. And then there was another, I don't know if it was him, but there was another saying that was, what was it? So it was you train people, they might leave, but the alternative is don't train them and they stay. it's even worse. It's just, you're actually keeping a bad employee. You're keeping somebody there that you're no training, that you're no making better. There's going to be an anchor to your business. So I think you've just got to put into the people who want it and want to progress, pour the time and effort into those people. And like I've openly said it to Robbie, like he should go and start his own business one day, but I wouldn't probably do it the way I did and just go gangbusters right into it. It's like, listen to the things I'm saying and like take on like my 10 years of, or well 12 years now, but you know, he's got 10 years on me, so he can put all that stuff in, and it just might make those winter days a bit easier. Do you know, you're sitting there going, one day I'll
got
get
two jumpers on there.
2 jumpers, right.
So should we get into you? You know, school, academic.
I was quite good in school. I left with like 4 A's and 2 C's, but I absolutely hated it. Like for some reason it just came naturally to me. Like, see what you were saying earlier about just memorising things and regurgitating it. I think I can do that quite easily. Yeah. So I think I sort of just coasted by on school with like, what
was the favourite subject?
Probably the sciences. Yeah. Probably the sciences, and I quite liked maths. Yeah. But
couldn't stand maths.
I didn't even get a maths result.
Like I'm saying favourite subjects, but I didn't really like it. Like I didn't like the setup. I didn't like you're sat in a classroom, like you're just
the repetitiveness.
Yeah. But when it came to exams, I was all right at like I remember he said that, like I'll just put that on the sheet. Yeah. So I got by school on that, and then I sort of left school, and to be honest, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. Like I knew I didn't enjoy school. I was like, I'm going to get out of school, and then I left school, and I had a couple of months where I was like, what now? Yeah. My mum's saying like, you need to go and get a job. Like
you need to fuck off out the house. I think every kid's had that conversation. I'm like, are you going to get a job yet? Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I kind of just took the first thing that came to me. I think it was my uncle. He was a manager in like, it's a sort of officey type warehouse. It's like medical samples, so they've all got a barcode on them. You like scan it into a box. Like it was a bit boring, to be honest. So I left there and I'm thinking like, shit, is this what working is? Like, I really didn't enjoy that. I stayed there for a year because it was good money when I was 16, just about to turn 17. Yeah. So I was on I think it was on £9 an hour or something like that. So when I'm straight out of school, like I've just got a taste of money, I'm like, this is great, man. Like it doesn't matter how shite it is during the week. I'll put up with it because I'm getting paid at the end of the month. Yeah. And then about a year down the line, I'm starting to think like, right, I need to start thinking about this. Like my plan was like I wanted something more like hands-on. I was like, I didn't like the sitting about, like just sitting there, you're like scanning all day. So I'm like, I ended up in a warehouse for like, it was like plumbing
parts.
Yeah, but it was like you welded them together, so it was like you made like specific bends for customers and all of that for like with plumbing pipes. And to be honest, it was quite a small company. There was only like 3-4 guys that I worked with. They'd all been there like 50 odd year. Like they were just sort of in work, like just coasting by. And
you could see your future self. Because that's another thing as well, when people go to work and they see, especially if there's people.
Am I going to be like this guy? Yeah.
Aye.
He's thinking that with you.
So I was in there, I think only about 4 or 5 months.
And you got out.
To be honest, like I didn't really know what working was all about. Like I just left school and like that's my sort of introduction to work.
You like the money, but then you just hate the work, don't you?
And then it was kind of by chance, we were speaking about that earlier, that I ended up with Taylor Roofs. Like, I think the conversation actually came about in your kitchen because I'm pals with Jamie's stepson. So, like, I
so you were complaining about how shit your work was, and he said, "Look,
pretty much,
come and work with me."
I was like, that never thought about being a roofer.
To be honest, like when I first was moving there, like I was kind of expecting the same thing. Like I wasn't like
he didn't have high
Fuck it, moving. It's no disrespect, but like that's kind of what I was expecting. Like it's what I'd heard before, and I was thinking like, well, I don't like where I'm at. Like I'll go and try it. And then it was when I sort of joined it sort of opened my eyes working in construction. Like I'd never really thought about like all this stuff you see got built like by somebody. Like it sounds like such a simple thought, but like when you look at a house, like you walk past them all day, I'd never actually thought like, oh, there was actually a team of guys like put this up. And then as I was like sort of going on and like learning wee bits and bobs, and then I'm like starting to do more work on the roof, I was like I don't know, it just grabbed me. I just loved the fact that like I was actually out there and I was building something, like I could see, like it wasn't like
You can
I'm
see
going
your-
into the
you
warehouse
can
and I'm
see,
making
yeah,
the same pipe all day. It was like
You can
I
see
can actually
something
see like
change.
that was fucked at the start of the day and then now it's fixed.
Yeah, no, but it's
Technical terms.
true though. I think but trades, like you can stand back at the end of
Job
and
satisfaction.
go.
Yeah, I did that. Aye.
That's
Yeah.
why all dad's shop. I built
Yeah.
that one, also, you know.
Yeah.
But you can
And
actually.
a lot of the time the customers as well, I know sometimes they can give you a bit of grief, but normally if you're doing a good job and
Yeah.
you're keeping in touch with the customer, they're like delighted to finally have a good tradesman on their house or a good person there, because they there's so many bad ones in the trades game. So when you get there and you can actually delight them, then that's a good feeling as well.
So you go to work
Yeah.
and you.
So I start like that was when I was first labouring, and what I sort of done as a labourer was like I was trying to get my head around like how the job works. So I played this game with myself almost when I was labouring, where I was like I tried to always be a step ahead of the tradesman. So I was like, right, he's doing that bit, and then I would be like, right, so what's he going to do next? And then he's like, right, he's going to put the tile batten on. So I'm like, right, I'll go and get that. And I think that's sort of how I picked up on most of roofing, was like when I was labouring, like trying to actually think like what's the next step.
Observing.
Yeah, and then obviously sometimes you get it wrong. You're like, you're away to get a tile batten, and your tradesman's like, where are you going? I need you up here.
Yeah.
But it's all just sort of a learning curve. And then then you offered me the apprenticeship. I think originally I'd missed the college start date.
Very similar.
No,
to
I just use that one. Everybody gets that.
I'll keep you on here for a year.
Yeah, like we do tend to do that. I don't know like what the situation was with yourself, but it is normally we do tend to do that, because I feel like in roofing especially,
Well, you know if somebody wants to do
need
it as well.
You
they-
need to go through the winter, mate. Like you've got like you imagine like you come and start with us at the start of the year. And then
Summer
it's been nice,
with your t-shirt.
and then summer you actually is usually when the college starts. So you're away to college and everything's great, and you've got this new world that's going on, and you're learning, and then you're coming back. Like we go to like 2 weeks at a time, so it's roofing for 2 weeks in college, then back for 2 weeks. So imagine just coming back 2 weeks, and then
it's
like
Game
the
of
temperatures
Thrones.
have went like that.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the reason for us doing that. But
I think that's a good thing actually that you stumble on, is giving people a chance to actually figure out whether or not it's for them.
And yet, like I've got my apprenticeship at this point, and really like at kind of the stage that I'm still at, like I'm still just trying to almost like I'm getting to the point now where I'm like I trust myself to do most things. Like I'm like even if I don't know how to do it, I'm like, right, I'll
And
get a badge.
how far are you into your apprenticeship?
About a year and a half. It's a 2-year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Because it's flat roofing I do, so it's not like tiling and slating. It's built up felt roofing that I do. So it's only a 2-year apprenticeship. I think I'm due to get my papers around February, March time.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to the point where I'm like
Competent.
yeah, and even if I don't know how to do it, I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Like, so to be honest, that's kind of where I am. Like,
Yeah. And how did, because obviously you're Apprentice of the Year, how did that come about as well?
so that was Jamie that actually recommended me to go down to that competition. Like, I would never have thought of applying to that like by myself. But it was Jamie that came to me and he was like, listen, we had a boy Ben, like he went down last year. I think it pushed him on quite a lot. Like, I'd like you to go down. And like, to be honest, I've said it to you. Like, my first thought was like, oh, fuck's sake, like I'm going to have to talk in front. Like,
what's he signing me up for?
but then like I sort of went home and I've thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Like, what have I actually got to lose? Like, worst case, I go down. I don't want to come back up.
I think stuff like that is a good opportunity, and also when you're at these things, you get to meet other people.
yeah.
And then you're speaking to somebody else, and they say, "Oh, well, I did," and you go, oh, "That's a good idea."
Yeah.
Aye.
You know. So anything like that, I always say to younger people listening or watching to this, like opportunities where somebody sort of throws something at you that you wouldn't normally do, is be out of your comfort zone. Just go and do it. And if it's crap, you don't do it again. Simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you go down.
I went down and it's like It was a great setup, to be honest. It was really well run, like really well organised. It ran over 2 days, so there was like, I think there was 4 or 5 tasks you had to do.
Yeah.
And
was it just for roofers or was it for other trades as well?
Just for roofers. So I think there was 8 in the flat roofing, and then there was 10 in pitched. So we sort of got separated. All the flat roofers done like flat roofing tasks, all the pitched roofers went and done their thing. But over the 2 days, it was like they never told you what you were going to do, so you didn't know what you were doing before you went down, or like even during it, like after the first day, you didn't know what you were turning up to do on the second day. And it was like you had a couple of different tasks. Most of it was like speeches. So there was one that was like it was like a rig set up, and it had, I think it said there was 10 problems with the way that they'd felted it. And you got 20 minutes or something to like look at the rig, and like you had to write down all the problems, and you came in, you spoke to the 3 judges like as if they were the customer.
Yeah.
So you're like you're trying to sell
That's
yourself,
good
and
as
like
well,
Yeah.
you're trying to sell yourself, like why you should be the one that does the job, like what you're going to do and stuff like that. So there's a couple of different tasks like that.
I think with that specific competition, the way that what they basically were saying was their skills got them to the competition, and then it's their customer service and how they work in a team and how they actually present themselves. That was what they were focusing on, like once they got there. So it wasn't like you're down there like, do you know some of the ones that's maybe like the bricklaying
the
competition, and they're literally like troweling away, and it's very much like you're doing that. It was totally like it was actually like more like being like a roof surveyor, an estimator, customer care, all that stuff, which is again
stuff that you can't teach.
You can't really, and it just, you know, I just learnt that stuff by just chapping the door when I'd started up on my own, and I better get used to speaking to customers. Didn't realise you just don't realise that you're going to need to do that. So it's good life skills actually.
Yeah.
And the judges did say over the course of the 2 days that, you know, like day 2 he just shone through. It was like he kind of found himself being more comfortable, and like even sat here doing the podcast, you know, like I've probably been quite scared of that when I was
How old are you now?
19.
Because a lot of, you know, and it pains me to say it because I'm generalising, but there's a lot of younger guys and girls that couldn't sit here and talk about themselves.
Are you wasting time? I think that some of you probably are, and I have a solution for you. Nobody wants to do any type of admin. Now, I have a solution for you, and it is called Tradify. It's a fully automated job scheduling, invoicing, and quoting all in one place. Now, that software is going to save you 12 hours a week, and all by using a simple software solution. Now, you can try it for 2 weeks, absolutely free, no cards needed, and you'll even get support in person from Tradify themselves. Now, when you're done, you can always come back to me and thank me, but just enjoy the extra 12 hours that you're going to gain from just using the software.
I really find in the UK, like, success isn't really celebrated though.
But
it's hated upon.
I find that very sad because I always feel like if I speak to somebody and they've been successful, like I want to sort of stand next to them because hopefully a bit of it rubs off on me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sort of like, oh, you know, how did you do it?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued and fascinated by how people did it, because when you talk to people, and I went out the other week and I got talking to a guy that runs a bog roll factory in Coventry, multi-millionaire.
Wow.
Bog roll.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. I used to get a bit of envy. Like I remember probably when I was still, like I was maybe still employed at the time, or just gone self-employed and had my van and stuff, and I used to see like business owners driving around in like nice big Range Rover Sport and stuff, and I'd be like, oh.
I think everybody, it's human nature, but I feel like in America, for example, it's the American dream.
Yeah.
People are happy for you.
Yeah.
It's like, well done, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But see when I flipped that and changed it from, oh, look at him, he's got that, to how can I learn off of him? How can I have that? That's when it really did change for me. That was where I was just going to say there, like, so I read Charlie Mullins's book, Bog Standard Business, I think it is. And
I think we've still got a signed copy out there.
Yeah. And reading it, and then there just wasn't enough like detail in it. So I read it and I was super inspired, and I was like, at this point I'd never seen Charlie Mullins anywhere. Like somebody just recommended me that book, and it was Craig actually that works with us. He used to have his own roofing business, so he recommended it, and I read that and I was like, wow. So like I went looking, where is this guy, and kind of went online and like seen all the vans, the branding and all of that stuff, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, how do I find more of this? And then I think I found like a couple of, like, they did some of the TV documentaries and things like that. But I was thinking, right, I can't really just phone Charlie Mullins and say, can I come down for a coffee and you tell me how you did that? So I started to kind of try, and I put it out into the universe almost to go, how do I connect with these type of people? Like, how do I learn off of them? Because there's nothing worse when somebody goes, can I get a coffee and pick your brains? It's like, well,
I'm busy.
Do you know, it's kind of like almost like, well, just kind of like worked for the last 20 years trying to gain that knowledge, and you're just wanting a 5-minute coffee. But
Charlie's pretty good like that. I'll give it to him. He loves to do
that was it. Yeah. So when I like that's when the podcast idea came about, because I was like, if I start a podcast, it's something tangible. Like, and I was seeing like all the stuff he was doing on media. I'm like, I'd probably just jump on the podcast. And I was saying that to you earlier, Robbie. Like, we had like all these chats happened today because we were coming down on the plane and stuff being together. But yeah, I basically just went like, then all of a sudden it just pops into my mind. I'm like, well, there's that PR guy that was on like the documentary. Like, I probably just phone him. Where's his number? Just joined the dots, and then before you know it, like, you're like, we went down and we done the visit with Charlie and done the podcast episode, and then we've been down again, and I think we're actually doing a third one. So we kept like, you know, kept in contact with him and got a decent relationship.
That's the only reason, like, I probably started this, because I get to learn off people. Like, when you guys come in, you'll talk to me about stuff. You'll talk to me about, you know, I've done this with the podcast, or I've done this with the business, or whatever it is. And I learn a bit off everybody.
Yeah.
But I also did these because it's almost like an encyclopedia for other people that are tradies. Even if somebody comes on there a bit of a joker, if you pick one thing up from each one of these episodes and apply it to yourself, you'll have a real successful business.
And there is something to learn off of everyone.
So, future plans then. Obviously, you've won Apprentice of the Year. What's the future plans for yourself?
So, like, sort of short future, I want to like keep developing in roofing. I want to kind of sort of.
Would you go and learn the pitch side of stuff?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, definitely. I kind of want to know how to do everything on a roof. Like, me and Jamie were talking about that on the way down. Like, I want to be able to like go up and kind of just, whatever the problem is, like, I know that I can fix it. And then once I get there, I would sort of want to sort of expand my skills into like what you were talking about earlier, like starting to learn like the finances, starting to learn like all the stuff it would take for me to then go on and run a business, and then like hopefully then go myself and like start my own business and try and do what like you guys have done myself.
That's me lost in another apprentice.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of people get put off taking on apprentices because they're worried about stuff like that. But I always think, if you don't do it, who's going to learn the knowledge and pass it down? And I also feel like if you do it and you do a good job of it, you know, it comes back to you in some other way. Like, you know, it may well be that you go, shit, I'm short for somebody to help me with this, and you can pick that phone up because you've got that relationship, and actually it helps you out. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And it's also, if he did go off and he's successful with his own business, he'd probably go, do you know what? I've got somebody that's really reliable that I know that helped me out. I'm going to chuck some stuff your way. And that's, people don't look at it from the bigger picture.
I think you need to look at the bigger picture. Like, you can't take it too personal. It's like, Robbie works for me in my company. I didn't own him. I didn't own his future. Do you know? It's like, oh, I sent you down to Apprentice of the Year, and like you took 2 days off work, and we sent you down and all of that, and like now you owe me. No, like it's just like, I do that stuff because I actually wish I had some of them opportunities, and I got some opportunities, but no really many. And I'm just probably looking back in that and just giving back what I wish I had, and then like people like Robbie's got an opportunity to be my legacy as well. Do you know? Like, when you look at
I mean, there's no fun being successful and not taking other people with you, I think.
Nah.
I think you sort of
lonely.
Yeah. Whereas if you actually see, okay, I've achieved that, but then I've still managed to, you know, I've had 5 apprentices of the year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's your legacy to the trade.
Yeah.
You haven't just kept taking stuff from it and not giving anything back to the community.
Nah,
of people.
definitely.
So what about you then? What's What's the future plans? Podcast and
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, future wise, is we're probably at I wouldn't say we're no growing, but it's very much we're trying to formalise a roofing academy. We want to give a lot back in terms of the training, the staff overall, not just the apprentices and the technical guys, but the actual management and leadership team. Do you know, it's something that's like probably a weakness as we've grown, because the way that we've sort of grown, it was like, not just directly like this, but it was give or take like 1 million to 2 million, 2 million to like 2.7, like then 2.7 it'll go like 3.5. It's like, it's big jumps, and you just don't realise that like you're pulling your full team and dragging them through that.
Yeah.
And to like me and my wife Kelly, we're just like, we just need to keep pushing forward, keep the work coming in, keep the guys busy, keep the lights on. It's, do you know, it's, you're just, because we're all just like one-off jobs as well, most of the time, so there's no recurring revenue. So every year, like our league table, just, you know, I treat it like football, like a league table is like 0 points on the board again, and you've just got to go and get the multi-millions again.
That becomes harder and harder each
yeah
year.
And like the reputation, and it runs, it does its thing, do you know, in terms of the overall goal is probably to have the commercially profitable enterprise that operates without us, and it's sort of there from a day-to-day sort of running. So the phone will ring, the marketing's good, the phone will ring, they'll get booked in, there's people surveying the jobs, estimating the jobs, it will then go into, deposit gets paid, goes into scheduling, the materials are ordered in, the scaffolding, skips and stuff's all put onto the jobs, job gets done, supervisors oversee it, gets signed off at the end, bill gets paid, customer leaves a review and recommends us to somebody else, and the process starts again. So that sort of bit is sorted, but it's the making each and individual bit like better, and going, how can we get like 10% better in that area? And that's the bit where like me and my wife kind of scarper over it all. So there'll be times where we'll maybe like jump into one area, but like we're now like neglecting training, and you might get some of the apprentices being like, oh, this is shit, or do you know, people thinking like we didn't care about their career anymore, but we're actually over here fixing a big marketing problem. It'd be like, we just need to keep all you guys in work. So do you know, nobody really sees that, and nobody can share that with you. So that's pretty much what we've been doing over the last few years, is we've built a team there that's more than capable. Like, if, I think you mentioned it earlier, like if we went on holiday for 2 weeks, we'll come back, like everything's fine. There's no really, do you know, we're at a problem now where like any of the problems that happen in the business there, unless it was absolutely catastrophic, like the team can just handle, and like, right, we'll hear about it when we come back. So that in itself is an achievement, because I think there was days where there was years where I just thought that'll never come. Like, can't even take a day off.
When you're on holiday and you're permanently on the phone. Right, so round about this time, we do what's called like it's almost like a Jerry Springer final thought. What bit of advice would you give, or what stuff would you say to somebody, especially because we've got two ends of the spectrum here, which never normally happens?
Yeah, probably just for like somebody who's young, like they're just out of school, they're looking, like they're sort of in the situation I was, where like they don't know what they're doing, like they're just kind of turning up to work. Like, go out and find something that actually grabs you. Like, go out and find something that.
But how do you know if it's going to grab you if you've not done it?
I think on Robbie's point there, I would be saying like, so one thing Robbie did, what I picked up on, is like he didn't settle. He tried one experience, he didn't like it, he went to the next experience, it was the same, although it was different things work. He was doing, it was slightly different work, but it was the same repetitive, mundane. And then he came into Taylor Roofs with us, and I think at that point he just thought this will be the same again, because that was now what working life was like to him. And I think there he's realised there's a bit of variety, there's different things, there's different like paths that you can take, whether it's pitched roofing, flat roofing, and this is for all the trades, you know, like I think it's just, don't settle for, like if you're in a job and you're literally going there and you hate it.
Right. Like, you get those people that hate Sundays, don't they? Sunday haters. I love Sundays, but
so it probably is that. That's effectively what you're saying, is like don't settle for that. Like, there is other jobs out there is things, and also it's just getting the right young person with the right employer. Because like Robbie could have went to another roofing company and might not
got mistreated,
might not have been given the opportunities that I've given him, and vice versa. Do you know, it could have been like I'm trying to give the opportunities and the young person doesn't want it. So,
So basically, I think the main takeout from that is just try and find something that you personally enjoy.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people struggle with that, because nobody really truly knows what they want until they land in it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
that's true.
What about you? Any advice? Because that was quite good, though, to be fair. You could
Yeah,
have killed two birds with one stone.
I think genuinely, like, the best investment you'll make is in yourself personally. Like, literally, read the books. Like, don't buy the book and pretend you've read the book and it sits on the shelf and I've read that.
Charlie's book, because, I mean, we've got copies of it. I mean, would you, to anybody that doesn't just want to be a trade, wants to have a successful trade business, would you say reading somebody's book like Charlie that's been there and done it is...
Yeah, and like, just learn from other people. So it's like investing in yourself is the overall, what I would say, invest in yourself, whether that's getting a mentor, reading books, going to like business seminars. I was at James Sinclair's business masterclass, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was brilliant. It was amazing. You're in a room full of entrepreneurs who are all looking to get ahead. You know, he's talking about buying and selling businesses, and it's not really trade related, but all the golden nuggets can be related to trade. So it's very much, I've kept continually investing in myself year after year. Like, I'll spend like probably thousands. Sometimes it's probably been like above 10,000 on personal development every year, whether that's a business coach, a seminar I've been on.
And do you feel you've got more back for what you've put in?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because that's another thing. I think people hear that figure, 10,000, you fucking idiot. Like, why would you spend... But if you've gone from doing £1 million to doing £3 million,
yeah,
actually it's a real small number in...
And what I think as well, though, is like, say I spent 10 grand this year on personal development, like, that'll still be serving me. Like, see that first business mentor that I met who gave me the E-Myth book that I was telling you about, he gave me, that same year, he gave me James Sinclair's book, The Millionaire Clown. Yeah. And I read that and I was like, that was a wee bit, it's quite similar to Charlie Mullins' book, but it's almost like they're not giving you they're just inspiring you enough to go, I need to get closer to these guys. And that's kind of how I've done it. And what I've done is I've picked up the knowledge I can get for them for free, and then took all of that knowledge and implemented it, and then went, what's the next thing? And, do you know, with Charlie, he doesn't really do a mentorship or anything, so the next best thing is get him on the podcast and keep in touch with him. With James Sinclair, he does a bit of mentorship and like his masterclasses and stuff. He's got lots of YouTube content, but it's all free. You just need to watch it.
Yeah.
Some of the advice you'll get there for free is better than you could get from any business coach, but the next problem that you'll have is, will you have the discipline and the accountability to deliver it? And that's where sometimes you need the business coach as well, and then you probably couldn't go and work with, say, James as one-to-one, so you need to find the closest person to you who would be a good fit for you to try and, do you know, it's quite a hard thing, but to me, until I can see something beyond like what these guys have done. So if you look at Charlie Mullins, like, I'm not going to sell my business for 145 million, do you know, I think it'd be naive to think that wasn't like a 1 in a million shot, to be honest. And I'm quite optimistic, but it's just not going to happen. But it gives you the belief that, well, you could exit it at one stage for millions.
Well, it shows
like,
it can be done. Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing. So I'd just be saying, invest in yourself, and literally, it's cliche again, but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much for coming all the way down anyway. I know you were at the thing, but
Aye.
no, appreciate it.
It was good tying in.